the last thing I want to talk about is economic populism and Joe the Plumber. And here I'm going to echo some of the comments that Mo Fiorina made. McCain's closing argument and Governor Palin's entire candidacy reflects a GOP brand of populism which has become part of the GOP arsenal in the last several decades. Democrats are elitist, atheist, city-dwelling, latte-sipping, socialist, and therefore American in name only. Republicans love the average Joe, watch NASCAR, listen to country, go to church, and definitely don't listen to National Public Radio. GOP economic policies are good for Joe because Joe wants to be rich too. Therefore, if you have a household income of $40,000 a year, reforming the estate tax needs to be your #1 priority. Thomas Frank, in his off-cited book, What's the Matter with Kansas, had argued that lots of the public has bought this message, which I'll call the inversion of party image. So is there any evidence that party image is in fact inverted? In a word, no. In 2006, I used some language drawn directly from Frank's book to ask citizens their views of parties. The first question was, thinking about politicians in the two major political parties, which do you think would feel more comfortable having a beer with a truck driver, construction worker, or waitress? And the second one was, which statement comes closest to your way of thinking about politics? The Democrats are the party of the people, and the Republicans are the party of the powerful, or the converse, or don't you know? So these questions are kind of populist questions. They're drawn directly from the language in Frank's book. Well, among all respondents, Dems are favored 50 to 21 in who would have a beer with a common worker. If we look at party, independents look a lot like Democrats, and GOP respondents are the only group that will tell you that the GOP are the party of willing to have a beer with common folk, and almost as many Republican respondents answered don't know as answered that their own party was the party that would have politicians comfortable with the working class. And don't know is a classic answer to give in polling when you don't want to give another answer. The public beliefs about who the party of the people is, again, Democrats heavily identified as the populist party, and if we control for party, independents still see the Democrats as more populist, and again, only GOP identifiers see their party as populist with a lot of don't know answers. So who does Joe speak for, and who speaks for Joe? In the figures I was just showing you, when we estimate relationships with income, region of the country, a variety of other things, none of these things shift the images of the party. Only party and ideology matter. So if you're a conservative or a Republican and you want to believe that your party represents all individuals, then in fact you do so. But even the wealthy, the middle class, and the poor across the board will identify the Democrats as the populist party. So McCain's Joe might be among those working class voters swayed by the GOP message, but Joe appears not to speak for the working Joes around the country. Substantial majorities of voters hold populist images of Democrats. Most importantly, substantial majorities of independents feel this way, and as Mo Fiorina said, the road to election is through the middle. Only GOP identifiers buy this message, and with substantial uncertainty. Now, for the last several elections, and particularly during the Clinton era and the Democratic Leadership Council, the Democratic Party has really made an effort to sort of hide its progressive economic agenda under a bushel barrel, in the idea that, you know, being more free trade, being more pro-business growth was going to actually work for them. There's been a lot of criticism of that from the left, of course. But Democrats may have been ill-served in hiding their populist economic messages under the cloaks of moderation. They might, in fact, have done better if they just out and out run as Democrats. So those are the 4 takeaway points from me.